Ahmed. We're going to draw some poses. And the way we're going to start is keeping it simple. That's my thing. Keep things simple. I'm just going to go to Pinterest. Yo, watch this. Okay, Google. Pinterest. Try again. Okay, Google. Pinterest. Yeah, it works. Cool. Alright, Pinterest. Alright, poses. There it is. We're just gonna pick a couple random ones just to start with, and then see what happens. Yeah, this is fine. This one in the top right kind of stands out to me, so I'm just gonna work with that one real quick just to get a warm-up going. So what am I looking at? If in my other video you saw my tutorial about boxes, right? That's really bad, but you know. Okay, wait, let me redo that. Ribs, pelvis, right? So what I'm going to do is just show you what I'm kind of thinking, and here's the box for the ribs. Well, it's more like that because she's tilting up, and then I think, yeah, and then the pelvis is more like that, and then the spine is connecting like this, and then you have the head kind of aimed downward like that, and then you got the limbs doing some stuff there. And if we move this aside, you can see the gesture kind of flowing pretty easily. So that's kind of what I'm looking at when I see that. But instead of drawing the boxes, I'm just gonna go at this loosely and see what happens. So yeah. So although I'm drawing a circle, you know, in my mind I'm still kind of feeling it out in perspective. It looks like a scribble, but to me, it's not. Anyway, so she was tilting up, and top of her forehead was there. Yeah, that's kind of a gestural sketch that's communicating somewhat similarly because I mean I think the pelvis should actually be more like that, and if we lowered the opacity, why am I using that brush? Alright, here we go. You know, here's the kind of anatomy. And the trick to drawing arms is to kind of understand them as sausages. Okay, so, well, cylinders. Okay, so this part is like that, right? And you understand that the form of a cylinder has a roundness to it. You know, that's the bottom side of the cylinder. And so the second arm is something like, you wouldn't see the bottom of it, you would see the top of it. You know, and this is showing the wireframe so you can understand the geometry of it. And that's kind of the basic shape and direction of those arms, or arm parts. So I'll move that aside. And so you remember those lines I drew to show the form? You can do the same thing on top of your drawing. Whoops. You know, and then with that you can get the feel of the form. If you look at drawings of Spider-Man, that's where I learned to do that, because he has that, because there's a web pattern that's kind of following the form of his anatomy. And so now you can't, I mean, you don't always have to do this, but to understand the form of what you're drawing, it's a good trick. And another visual trick that artists like to use, here, let's just duplicate that and put it aside. Well, we want to show the form of the arm, but we don't want to put a bunch of wires like that. How about we put some kind of armband that's along the same lines of the cylinder, right? And if you were to shade it and have a little highlight in the middle that kind of has a cool reflection, oh, and what do you know? Let's just give her a watch, you know? And it's also in the direction of that cylinder line. So that's a quick tip on drawing form. Let's see. Let's keep going with this. So yeah, this is just the I'm not going to sit here and draw the clothes right now. I'm not interested in learning cloth, but rather the form of the human body. So yeah. With the head, you can, knowing that this is, okay, so in my other video, we talked about how if you're looking head on of a face, like, the eyes are halfway, and then down at the bottom is the chin, and between the chin and that line, you have thirds, and then the nose goes here, and then the eyes go here, and the mouth goes there, right? And then the top of the forehead is like somewhere over here. So the mistake over here would be, you know, to like make it halfway there, like of this whole thing. What you should do is pay attention that the forehead is right here, so it's got to be halfway between that, only this, which is this much. And so that's where the eyes go. And then if we divide that in thirds, this is where the nose go. This is where the nose go. This is where the nose goes. This is where the mouth goes. Right. And then, you know, imply that the ears are over here. And the ears, so they line up with the eye and the nose. So if we were to follow this along and go around to the side of the head, that's where the ear is. Approximately. Right? And so, yeah, let's go down to the... now, the difficulty with this is, since the torso, or the pelvis area, is not really 3D or in perspective to us, it can be... it's just flat. So you have to kind of just follow the contour of what you're seeing. Instead of, I should be clear about that, instead of finding the form the way we did with these cylinder things, because the cylinder would just be straight lines, since it's just sideways. I don't know. Okay, yeah. Now this head is way wrong. It should be more like that-ish. Anyway. So as I've mentioned before, the purpose of a study is to learn something. It's not to always be perfect and accurate and whatever. So... yeah, and you could, you know, throw on the hair if you want, but I don't want to do that right now. So let's pick another one, and I'm going to put this aside over here. I'll make it smaller. Let's do one that's head on. Sure, why not? Okay, so let's do that practice thing again, where we have the 3D boxes. So the pelvis is obviously like this, and then the rib cage is sort of tilted back, so we would see a bit of the underside. Now I'm exaggerating, but that's okay. Right, and then the head is something like that. Then the limbs just come out and do something like that. Oh, and another thing, since the pelvis is kind of tilted at an angle, you'll notice that the knees are also going to be at a similar angle. Now you can't see them here, but they wouldn't line up exactly. They would actually be in accordance to the angle of the hips, if that makes sense. So based on that, let's see what we can do. Anyway, so yeah, that's a quick, rough kind of outline of how you could break that down. It doesn't have to be super high resolution, by the way. So, same thing. Let's figure out the direction of the rib cage. So it's something like this. Here's the front side. Here's the bottom. And then the pelvis is facing towards us, so you got that twist going on, which is pretty cool. Then the head is tilted down a bit, like that. Then you got the limbs. So that's the general. Oh, it looks so silly. That's the general block out. So. And the reason I'm not doing an outline with boxes right now for this is because I like the organic looseness of this process, because otherwise it feels a bit stiff. But when I am doing it, I am still keeping in mind that there is still a box here, and I'm kind of orienting my drawing around the perspective of that box. And so, again, with the cylinder thing, this one is actually going into perspective away from us, so it's like that. It's a bit exaggerated, but a little trick for drawing feet from the side. So let's say we have our limb, right, and it's like, oh, what do I do with the foot? Is it like that? I can't do it. How do I do it? What I like to do, so at the bottom of this, I like to put a diamond, right? It's like a sideways square, well, rotated square, but it's a diamond. Now that represents the angle, at least to me. And on this side of the diamond, I just put a thing like that. I don't know what I'm going to call it, but it's the heel. I guess that's what I'll call it, the heel. And then on this side of the diamond, I put a triangle. And that's kind of the anatomical structure really simplified down to very basic fundamentals and stuff. Because this looks way better than, that. Or, whatever. Okay, moving on. So, what's the breakdown here? We have the rib cage doing something like this. When I say rib cage, I also mean upper torso, if you're concerned about the proper vernacular or whatever. And there's the pelvis, or the hips, and then the spine comes up like that, and the head is like that. It's sideways, so you wouldn't see much of the perspective of it. And there's the knee, diamond, diamond. Yeah, and that's kind of same thing. So even though it's a very basic wireframe, it still has the motion and the dynamics because of the perspective that we laid in with those shapes. So let's go ahead and tackle this guy. Not literally, because he would probably beat me up. Yeah, why not? It's I think I learned something from that. Why not, right? No, you're supposed to spend 14 hours at least on every single anatomy study. Otherwise, it doesn't count. Shut up. Right. Who's counting? Nobody. Yeah, okay, so cool. We have it. Alright, cool. And that's the kind of studying portion of this, and we'll move on to doing things out of your imagination in the next video. Yeah, just subscribe so that you're notified when I do upload it, which of course will be very, very soon.